Hey guys, Riley Dane here. Hello everyone, we got all these cameras going. I want to welcome you to this exclusive screening of the Abundance Factor movie, and I cannot wait for you to see it because I know you are absolutely going to love it. In fact, here is what a few of our viewers had to say after our last screening of the Abundance Factor. So as you can see, this movie has the power to radically transform your life. In fact, some people have called it the most powerful 90 minutes of their entire life. And so what I want you to do is grab a pen and a piece of paper because you're about to learn some truly life-changing nuggets of wisdom, and I want you to capture as many of those as possible. Or for any of you who are wise enough to upgrade to a VIP ticket, then go ahead and grab that workbook and follow along with the Abundance Factor movie that way. But either way, you are going to want to find a quiet place where you can be interruption free for the next hour and a half-ish. And remember, for those of you that stick around to the very end of the movie, I'm going to reward you with a $47 mystery gift that you are absolutely going to love. So trust me, you are going to want to stick around until the very end when I pop back on here and tell you how you can claim yours, and I might even answer a few questions for you guys. So make sure that you are still here when the credits are rolling because you aren't going to want to miss out on what I have to give you today. So without further ado, let's do it. Here is the Abundance Factor movie. When you look around the world today, things seem stark. 50% of marriages are ending in divorce, while over 60% of couples claim to be unhappy in their relationships. 80% of people are unhappy or dissatisfied with their jobs, a number which has steadily been on the rise over the last 3 decades. The average student debt has increased by a whopping 58% over the last 7 years, growing the sum to an astronomical $27,253 per student by the time they graduate university. Not only that, but over the last decade, the use of antidepressants has skyrocketed over 400%. 1 in 10 Americans now identify as taking antidepressant medication. And even worse, a new suicide happens every 12.8 minutes, making it the 10th leading cause of death in America. So all of this begs one very simple question. Why in the world are we so unhappy? And most importantly, what can we do to change it? But before we get to that, I suppose I should introduce myself. My name is Riley Dane, and I'm just your average 24-year-old guy. I grew up in the small Canadian town of Armstrong, British Columbia, with a population of only 4,800 people. It's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody and nobody locks their door. Here you either grew up to work at the mill, became a farmer, or, if you got lucky, make cheese at the world-famous Village Cheese Company. I grew up the middle of 3 kids. That's me in the center, the funny-looking one with the misshapen head. Being the middle child meant I always had to try a little harder to get my parents' attention. I did it by goofing around, cracking jokes, and generally making a fool of myself. If it would make somebody laugh or smile, you could bet I was doing it. I guess you could say I was the family comedian. In high school, I got good grades, excelling in drama, computer science, and art. I graduated top of my class, and I was really on track to make something of myself. But then, something happened. Something that would change the course of my life forever. I went to sleep one night just like any other, but I almost never woke up. It turns out I suffered from an unusual case of parasomnia pseudo-suicide, a rare and dangerous sleeping disorder where the victim will unintentionally take actions to injure or possibly even kill oneself while asleep, without premeditation, conscious awareness, or personal responsibility. In other words, an accidental sleepwalking suicide. And in my case, I got out of bed at 3 a.m. in the morning and stepped right off the edge of a second-story balcony. One moment I was fast asleep, the next moment I was in the hospital, awoken by the sound of a heart monitor, beeping along to the pulse of my decaying heartbeat. Confused and horrified, I gasped back to consciousness. Doctors feared the worst: broken spine, paralysis, internal bleeding, or maybe even eventual death. But when the test came back, something happened that shocked everyone. I was fine. I wasn't paralyzed, I wasn't dying. And just a day later, I walked out of the hospital without a single broken bone and barely even a scratch. The doctors were stunned, my parents were relieved, and I was just happy to be alive. And although I don't know why I wasn't hurt that day, I do know that facing death at age 22 left me shaken, confused, and with more questions about life than ever before. Is this all there is? Is this all we're meant to do? Are we meant for something more, something greater? I intend to find out. Follow me as I travel the world on a quest for answers. How can we all live our dreams? What's the secret to success? The key to happiness? What is the abundance factor?
What do you expect?
A little nervous. I'm excited, but I've never really been out of Canada that much. So I grew up in British Columbia, and this really has been where I spent most of my life. So it's a little nerve-wracking.
What's your biggest fear?
Oh, my biggest fear. I guess that I don't know what to expect from these interviews. I don't know what the people are going to be like. I mean, you see them and you read their books and you see them on television, and that's one idea of them. But when I get there and I meet them in person and I ask them these questions, I don't know what they're going to say, or I don't know what they're going to think of me. And I guess if they don't like me, that's going to suck. Lucky pink socks. Going to wear these for every interview. Bring me good vibes, good mojo. The guys I'm traveling with, I don't really know the guys I'm going to be traveling with all that well. We've had a few Skype dates. We've talked on the phone, but we're going to be spending 4 months together at all times. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of personalities they have, what they think of my personality, and if we can all find a way to get along on this trip.
Have your passport?
That's a good question. Let's double check. Maybe Riley won't be going too far. I do. Good one, though.
What's the one singular thing you hope to accomplish?
My strongest objective, I guess, I feel like a lot of times we get these jobs. We're told that we have to go to school and we have to get good grades and we have to graduate and get this degree. And then after we get a degree, then we have to go out into the world and we get a job. And then we got to get a good job. We got to impress our friends. We got to impress our family. And I just can't help but wonder if there's not another way to do things, if there's not a shortcut to getting to the end, getting to the good life that we're all promised after retirement. Maybe we don't have to wait until we're 50, 60 years old to experience that. Maybe there's a way to figure it out right now. And I guess I want to know what that is. I want to know how to get to the good life. I want to know how to live my dreams. I want to know how to live the life that I want to live. And I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's just to go out there and try it. So if I was gonna take this journey seriously, there was only one place to start first: the land of opportunity, the city of angels, Hollywood, California, the home of the American dream. Los Angeles can be a very intimidating place until I saw some familiar faces.
Bigger person that work hard and get to where he wants to be, it's a success. So this is successful in my opinion.
Be successful.
A lot of hard work and dedication.
I would just say to never give up. I mean, I have a son and I want to be able to show him to just follow your dreams. Whatever your dreams are, don't give up. And there's plenty of success out there for everybody.
Something in the entertainment industry, definitely. If you want to do something, do it, right? True story.
So now, out of character, when you're not being Batman, what do you do? So you do?
I actually make videos. I am a costume designer too.
It's like, what's your number one goal? What's your number one dream? What do you want to do?
Be a successful entertainer through like comedy, movies, shows, whatever. There's so much media out there.
So I found myself like miserable most of the time in high school, thinking, oh, I have to go to math, I have to go to science, I have to learn these things that don't make me happy. Had there been a class that you were just able to explore whatever you wanted to do, just artistically or creatively in any fashion? I think that that'd be awesome for young kids to figure out and be able to explore on their own.
And what do you think holds you back from having that?
Pretty much, I put up my own barrier. Like, I'm like my worst enemy, so it's just like me not believing in myself, or like not taking risks because you have that fear of like failure, or just trying something that you're not familiar with and not knowing what the result's going to be. So you just kind of got to break out of your shell and take risks. And I haven't been that confident to take big risks, So you need to just see it as a growing process. Always look at the positive out of the situation, even though you didn't achieve your actual goal. You could have still got something from it,
So, the first question that we want to ask is, what does success mean to you? How do you define success?
By not working.
To success for me, I think means having a good family and some good friends with you.
I've been trying to figure out what this word abundance means. Do you guys have an opinion on what abundance means?
I think people skills abundance. The more people you're surrounded by, the more successful you will be because you're able to touch more people.
1 success, 2 success, 3 success, 5 success, 7, 8, 9 success, and happiness.
Do you think money can buy happiness?
Never. It will buy you happiness like Viagra for the time being.
Right. What's your number one goal in life? If you could do one thing, what would you do?
My number one goal in life, to be in the Ellen DeGeneres TV show.
Well, although I was headed in the right direction, I'm not sure if Batman and Wonder Woman alone were going to be able to solve this case. I then flew to Boston to meet with Margaret Lynch. If I wanted real answers, I was going to have to ask the real experts, the very people who inspired me to take this journey. The first question on my mind, what exactly is abundance? All right, we are here at Margaret Lynch's house. I'm going to go introduce myself, so let's go check it out. What does abundance mean to you?
When I think of the word abundance, I think about two sides, really. And so there's the broad spectrum of the world. Is there abundance in the world? And when I think about the broader world, how does it feel? How big is the sky? How big are the trees? And how much love is out there in the world? And then I think about in the microcosm of my life, what does abundance look and feel like to me on a daily basis? Am I feeling an abundance of love? When I look at my finances, do I feel secure and safe and abundant in the choices that I can make? And when I think about my health, do I wake up and feel an abundance of energy and charge for my life? And so there's always two sides to abundance, and keeping them in balance, I think, is one of the things that allows us to live, I guess, what you'd call an abundant life.
We then traveled to Rancho Santa Fe to learn from none other than the T. Harv Eker.
Well, to me, abundance is pretty simple. There's three things. There's enough, which is in the middle. There's lack, which is on one side. There's abundance that's on the other side. So all it means is plenty of whatever it is.
In my past, I would probably define as having a lot of financial wealth. As I'm getting a little bit wiser, I hope, I define abundance as having a combination of enough time to do the things that I love with the people that I love, having the health to enjoy it, having the awareness to recognize how spectacular life is and every moment really is, and not squandering it.
It's just loving your life exactly the way it is and exactly the way it isn't, and just enjoying life and realizing, yeah, life isn't perfect sometimes, but still being able to enjoy life.
While we were still in Canada, we had the rare opportunity to sit down and talk to Bob Proctor.
I believe abundance means living the life we were designed to live it. There's abundance everywhere you look, except where we're in charge. There's abundance in all of nature. I think abundance means living the way you really want to live, spending your days doing what you love doing, and no lack or limitation in any area of your life.
Yeah, when I think of that word, I also think of a bun dance. And, the idea of just joy de vivre, enjoying the essence of things, the abundance of life, the abundance of joy, the abundance of feeling that human beings have. But I think Katie mentioned something that we feel important, and that is not just having what you want, but enjoying what you have, what we call savoring. Really savoring is an aspect of abundance that I don't think gets much attention.
Here we are in LA, sitting down with Dee Wallace, who may be best known as the mom in E.T.
Freedom. I think when you're abundant in love, you're abundant in money, you're abundant in beautiful relationships, you're abundant in creativity, you're free.
To me, authentic abundance means that we have more than enough to meet our own needs and that we have the ability to stop working, say 8 to 5 in something that's just getting by, that you really don't like showing up for, and step into the passion of our souls. To me, that's authentic abundance, and it's good for you, good for others, and good for the world.
There's more than enough for everyone.
I traveled all the way to Salt Lake City, Utah to sit down and talk with Carol Tuttle.
Abundance is a constant state of our existence, that the universe is abundant. There's an abundance of all things rather than it's something I have to go learn or something I have to acquire. It just is. I live in an abundant universe on an abundant planet. It's just and as I understand what creates is energy, as it's focused, whatever we focus our energy on, we create an increase of, an abundance of.
It's choosing to be satisfied in the now. A lot of Americans especially, or people in the Western world, we wait for the thing to happen to feel abundant. We wait for the success of the job, the perfect partner, the money that we've been waiting for, and we delay our gratification until this thing comes. But then that thing always owns us. So abundance to me is satisfaction now.
So, now that I knew what abundance was, I needed to know what was stopping us from all achieving it. And more importantly, what was holding us all back from living our dreams. Our next stop, Austin, Texas, to talk to none other than Joe Vitale.
So when people have their passion all locked down, sometimes they get nervous because they think, oh, what if I actually go for this and I fail? Or the other side of the coin, what if I go for this and I succeed? Both of those are real concerns for people. And I actually know in my own life, I had to look at both of those, failure and success. And guess what? I interviewed a 70-year-old billionaire one time, this is decades ago, and he said, I have failed many times in business and I learned an important lesson. I thought, what did you learn? I got to know this. And he said, nothing bad happens to you. The world forgives and the world forgets. The only person that really remembers the failures are you. And if you go and learn from it, it's just feedback for you. You can adjust whatever you were doing, learn from the experience, chuck it, whatever. It's all a learning experience. At that point, you can move forward and create something new.
Next on the list, one of my all-time heroes, host of the School of Greatness podcast, Lewis Howes.
The number one thing that holds people back is their emotional environments. Again, our emotions, how we feel, is the main thing that we can control. And so if we continue to put this belief and this negative emotions on ourselves internally, and we allow others to affect us in a negative way, then we're to be held back in achieving our dreams. Once we change our emotional environments internally first, then we can start to change our external environment, the people we surround ourselves with, the ideas and thoughts that come into our head, that we allow to come into our head, then we can start to achieve our dreams.
Well, there's a lot of people who have a rough time. In fact, I think the majority of people are struggling. But what we're dealing with is ignorance. It's just a lack of awareness. Solomon said, in all you're getting, get understanding. Solomon understood something about abundance. And he said, in all you're getting, get understanding. The only way to develop understanding is through study. And apparently we just don't want to do that as a people. I know the more I study, the more awareness I develop, the more abundant my life is. I used to have very few friends, and the ones I had weren't very nice. I had to take a look at me. I was the cause of the problem. As I changed that, I have business and friends all over the world today, and they're really good people. So I think our world is a reflection of what's going on inside. If there's struggle, if there's lack and limitation inside, then there's going to be outside. We have to understand who we are, and most people don't.
Number one thing, right there. I mean, short of you're living in some village somewhere and you really don't have the opportunities, and I understand there are people in the world that don't have those opportunities, but pretty much everyone that's living in the United States of America can walk into a library. They still exist here in the United States. And you can walk into a library and you can learn anything and everything you want to. They've got computers there that you can use for free. They've got books. They've got all kinds of personal development. The number one thing that stops people is they don't move beyond their psychological roadblocks. That's it.
I think the number one thing that holds people back from achieving success or achieving abundance is the way that a person thinks.
Your mind can only hold the focus on one thing at a time, and most of us focus on fixing what we don't want instead of creating what we do. And then we wonder why our creation is only partially manifested, because we're literally fighting us against us. Like for those of us who didn't have money when we were little, here's the adult D going, yes, I'm going to focus on abundance. I'm going to create. I know that's what I want. Oh my gosh, but that's not the reality. My little girl inside is going, you better be afraid. You better be afraid, because if you're not afraid, you're not safe. And so we hold on to the incorrect teaching and understanding that troubleshooting and fixing and playing it safe and being scared actually is our safety net for creating what we want.
Our inner blocks or our inner programming have a nervous system component to it. That means emotions and feelings that blast into your system through your nervous system that create fear or shame or embarrassment that stop us in so many ways from stepping up in our life and allowing ourselves to literally have more abundance in our life, whether that's abundance of health or wealth or even love.
Fear. The number one element that stops people from taking the actions necessary that they even know they could be taking or should be taking is fear. And one of the things that I'm a big believer in and that we teach very specifically is that you're not going to get rid of fear. Anybody says, I'm never afraid, well, they're probably just sitting in a cave doing nothing. That's not the way life works. As soon as you get into unfamiliar territory, the fear comes up, and it always will, and that's a good thing. And the understanding is that your mind is not the happiness director of your life, and it's not the success director. In fact, it's good at unsuccess, isn't it? Your mind is simply a protective mechanism. That's its job, is to keep you alive. It's a survival machine. And so its only job is to keep you alive and protect you, and therefore it's not interested in what's right in your life. It doesn't care. It only is interested in what? What's wrong. And so it scours everything in every situation for what? What's wrong or what could go wrong in this situation. So you wonder why you have this great idea and you're so excited, and then 3 days later, you've talked yourself out of it. You've got the doubt. So what if it doesn't work? And I don't even know how. I don't even know anything about this. And how am I going to get the money? And blah, blah. That's your mind doing its job. It's good at it. And so the biggest problem most people have is this one. They listen to their own mind. They believe that most people believe the voice in their head is God. The voice in your head is not God. The voice in your head is a conditioned, programmed tape of the past that you learned how to survive in this world. That's all it is. It did not talk to you about thriving whatsoever. And it did not talk to you about abundance. And it will not talk to you about abundance. In fact, it might actually talk to you about riches and abundance and going for it in order so you can beat yourself up even more when you talk yourself out of it 2 days later like you have 58 times before.
So if the beliefs we hold about ourselves are the one and only thing holding us back from living our dreams, then where exactly do these beliefs come from? I sat down with Dr. Bruce Lipton, author of Biology of Belief, to find out more.
I said, well, how's a child going to learn? I say, first 7 years, they're in hypnosis. They don't have to be taught. They're like a video camera. They watch their parents. They watch the behavior of their mother, the father. They watch the behavior of the siblings. And I say, what's happening? They're observing the behavior of others, which is now being downloaded into the subconscious. That's the download part. When they reach 7, they can start to be creative with consciousness because now they have a database. But now, significance? 70% or more of the downloaded programs before age 7 are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting as given by psychologists. What does it mean? It means that my subconscious is really loaded with programs that do not support me and do not really support my wishes and desires because that's creative conscious mind. So I go, wow. You say, well, fine, I won't use my subconscious mind. I'll just use my creative conscious mind and create for my life. And I go, well, interesting idea, but problem. And here's the problem. When you're thinking, you're not paying attention. If I say, what are you doing next Thursday? For that moment, if you're going to think about it, you have to go in your head and look at a calendar and go, Thursday, what am I doing? I go, well, if you're walking down the street, driving the car, doing your job, and you have a thought, it doesn't mean you just stop, because the subconscious is the default. The moment the conscious isn't playing, the subconscious kicks in. So you can have a conversation with somebody in the car and then realize, you haven't looked at the road for 5 minutes. And then you go, well, I'm still on the road. And I go, well, who drove the car? I go, well, while you were talking, conscious mind was busy, subconscious took over.
When we're that age, between the ages of, say, 2 and 6 or 7, we're predominantly in theta brainwave activity, which means we're sponges. So we're looking at all the adults around us about how to act, how to feel, how to think, about everything. So even if we are inadvertently told, you're stupid or whatever when you're a child, we take that on as our truth because we have no filter. And so what happens is this just gets stored in there. And the sad thing is because we believe it's our truth, our subconscious mind wants to prove that it's right all the time. And so every time we, don't do well at a test, you go, see, it's because I'm stupid. And all it does, because we're looking through those glasses and that perception, it taints the way that we act, feel, think for the rest of our lives until we can realize that those things aren't actually true. And most of the time, that dialogue that we have in our mind is really coming from an innocent incident that happened when we were a child.
Here we are in Atlanta, Georgia, sitting down and chatting with Lynn McTaggart, author of The Intention Experiment.
In my husband's book, The Untrue Story of You, he defines where people get this kind of negative thinking from. And a lot of it has to do with defining ourselves in terms of undigested experiences we've had in the past. So the past takes us over like an unwanted guest. And somewhere in there, we have interpreted our experience to mean that we don't have enough somewhere or we're not good enough somewhere. And that becomes the frame by which we see the world. And so whenever we see some experience or we have some experience or we see something, we interpret it as being more evidence that isn't life awful.
And we're not geared to focus on creating bliss. We're not geared to go and create rocking chair moments. We're geared to survive. And that's what we're constantly thinking about is what's going to go wrong next, right? And it's the news perpetuates that cycle and it reinforces and re-resonates those limiting imprints within us. And it makes it very difficult for us to unlock the abundance factor within us until we learn how to overwrite that.
I remember how I actually had a very big limiting beliefs around money. And which of course I didn't think I had. And for most of us, because we've been having these limiting thoughts or this paradigm around money, self-image, relationships, everything to do with our life, because we've been thinking these thoughts for maybe 30, 40, 50 years and they're so natural and normal to us, we don't see how they're sabotaging our success. We don't understand how that is because it just sounds like our normal internal chatter. And most of the time it can be disguised as common sense. It's very sneaky.
There's a formula that we use that's very important, and it says that your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. So your results originate in your thoughts, yes? But here's the distinction that nobody seems to ask. So what creates your thoughts? Why do you think the thoughts you do and someone else thinks it's completely different thoughts? And the answer to that question is conditioning, programming. You learned how to think. You come in as an empty vessel, and then you get all this information plugged into you and poured into you. And that's all you know. That's all you can act from. And so we know what we know. We know what we were taught to know. And then we act based on that. And we don't even know why we make the decisions and choices we make. We just make them based on the best we know how. But the best we know how is extremely unsupportive to success.
And our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And if you reevaluate, your belief about it will change. We've got to reevaluate who we are.
So learning about how our first 7 years of downloading can affect our balance of abundance later on, I thought I'd talk to Jarek Robbins about his formative years.
Well, when I grew up, I had a very interesting environment. Crazy environment, thinking about it. When I was in my mom's belly, I was literally at seminars, and she was teaching people how to break bricks with their bare hands as a metaphor for breaking through their fears. And my godfather was teaching that event, who's John Grinder, who co-founded NLP, which is a cool way of helping people. So that was an interesting situation. I always say through osmosis, I had to pick something up at that moment of life. I grew up where my dad started teaching people how to break through their fears when I was just a little guy. When I was probably 3 months old, I did my first firewalk in his arms at John Denver's ranch.
Yes! Yes! Step up on the grass first. Yes! Yes! Okay, I want you to make your move as strong as you've ever been in your life. I want you to scream yes. I want you to do it 3 times. Your eyes stay up and you storm across. Yes! Yes! Make your move, scream yes. As hard and strong as you can. Yes! That's it! That's it! You got it! Go!
So I'm learning how to walk on fire, break bricks, and I'm only 3 months old. So I was around this stuff. But seeing that, I had a really interesting perspective growing up, only based on the fact that my dad was one of those people who didn't grow up with a lot of mentors around him. He had to go and find his mentors. He had to come up with people to believe in. He had to go out and research material because he didn't really have an abundance of it available at his home. He grew up in a tough place.
This is all starting to make perfect sense. But a big part of growing up isn't just what our parents tell us. There's this little thing called the education system, and one has to wonder what role that might play in our lives. So to get more answers, I flew to Malaysia to meet with Vishen Lakhiani, founder of Mindvalley.
The biggest gap in our education system right now is that we don't teach kids to understand how their beliefs shape the world. Kids create these beliefs that cascade and build up on each other. And without knowing it, it leads to so many of the ills that all of us have as adults. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I'm not important. I can't do it. These are the 4 biggest diseases in human society.
Why do you think it is that most people, unfortunately, give up on their dreams?
It's trained out of us. When we're born, we're great dreamers. And by the time we're 2 and 3, we're putting on imaginal futures every single day of our lives, and I'm going to be an astronaut, and everybody around us says, isn't that cute? And then by the time we're 5 and 6, we're told, stop daydreaming, it's called. Pay attention. Regurgitate what we know as your educators, give it back to us, and we'll call you educated. And we dampen those dreams. I've been helping people discover and bring forth their dreams for over 30 years. And about 50% of the people have no idea what their dream is without some support to unpack it and unlock it. It's not that it's not there, it's just that we're dealing so much with what's coming at us, and our dream muscles atrophied for when they were trained out of us. So just helping somebody begin to just put on some possible futures like we did when we were a little kid, and find one that actually brings you alive and you have no idea how to achieve it, but you go, I have no idea how to do that, but I would absolutely love it if that were my life.
The flaws I see is they are more preparing people to be drones, to just do as you're told. They aren't encouraging people enough to think entrepreneurial based. There are some schools out there that do, so I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. But I would say that a big challenge that we see in our education system is we also reward memorization, not understanding. I sucked at memorizing, and I cut corners, and I did things to partner up with people so the project would be done. Just get it over with, as opposed to, did I even freaking learn this, right? And so that is the challenge when you force memorization as the way of patting somebody on the back versus application.
We need to help our children learn to explore, to question things, to think critically, to think out of the box. They need to be given permission to do that. And in school systems, the way it's set up, and overcrowded classrooms, everything is in the box and shut down and very regimented, and you're not allowed to color out of the lines. And each of us is born with this unique passion and purpose. It's not in the lines. And so I think giving kids a little more permission to explore their passions at an earlier age, making it all right for them to be different, I think that would be huge.
Is there anything that you wish you learned in high school that you didn't get taught?
Yeah, like they don't teach you like anything about financing, budgeting. Like as far as we're a capitalistic society, you think they would at least cover how to do taxes in high school. It's something you have to do it. How to build credit. These are all things that would have been very useful as a young adult that they just don't equip you with, and it's almost like you're set up for failure. I hate that.
I wish I learned in school that it's really about following your dreams, because what I learned in school, and I would say a lot of my friends learned in school, is that you were supposed to go to college and you were supposed to get a degree, and then you were supposed to go for the highest paying job that you could possibly get within your field of study, and then you were supposed to work there forever, and then you were supposed to retire somewhere in there, probably get married and have kids. And then that was it. And then you have your retirement, which seems kind of boring, and then, you die. Well, that to me sounds awful. So what I wish I would have been taught in school was the most important journey that you can take is that path of the heart. That to me is more important than any of the other stuff. Because if I am going along in my business and I need to figure out a math equation, I can either go online and look up how to do it, or I can study it and say, I love to learn everything, so I'm fascinated by all the topics, but there's all these resources, but those were the ones that I didn't get. I didn't get that you need to follow your heart and be true to who you are and your path, because it may not look like anyone else's. I know mine's looked very different than almost any one of my friends growing up, and for someone to have said that's okay, that's what you want it to look like, that would have changed everything.
For students like me who really struggled learning, math, memorizing things, reading and writing, comprehending, it was a challenge for me because it's just something that didn't click with me. I learned more with my hands and by doing things. The thing I wish that they really focused on today is emotional intelligence training and really allowing people to understand why they feel certain ways about themselves, why they respond and react in certain situations. We grow up as children feeling hurt a lot, feeling not accepted, feeling bullied at times, feeling like people are making fun of us. Everyone feels these feelings at some point in time. But they never teach us how to handle or express our emotions in a vulnerable, loving way to ourselves and to others.
Yes. What do you think you need in this life?
I don't know how much I need. There are things that maybe I want. But actually this experience and making this movie is satiating a lot of those needs and those wants.
Okay, so tell me one of your wants.
One of my
something
wants.
you want.
Well, I will tell you, there's a story.
Okay.
I was graduating high school. I was in my senior year.
Okay.
And my personal planning teacher, which is a thing they have in Canada, I don't know if they have that in the States, who's supposed to help you kind of plan your career and your life. She said, Riley, what do you want to do when you graduate? And I said, I want to travel, I want to make movies, and I want to help change the world in whatever small way I can.
Okay.
And it's a little altruistic, but that's what I wanted. And do you want to know what she said?
Sure. Get out of my room?
She said, whatever you do, don't do that.
Whatever you do, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Okay.
She said, what I want you to do is I want you to go to school. I want you to get a normal job.
Okay.
And when you retire, then worry about traveling, making movies, and trying to change the world.
Okay. Sounds like she's awesome.
She was my favorite teacher. Yeah, so anyways, that's what I wanted. And she told me that that was a terrible idea. So for the first little bit of my life after high school, I believed her.
Sure.
And kind of took the road more traveled by.
Okay.
And then eventually I learned that maybe that wasn't what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
And so then I took this road that I'm on now, and where I'm getting what I want. I'm getting to travel. I'm getting to make a movie.
Sure.
And changing the world is maybe pushing it, but if I can even change the world of 10 people or 100 people, that at least is something.
Right. Now, have you ever have any desire to go back and talk to her?
Not really.
Well, you should, because that would be an interesting part of the film.
Right. So, Miss Teacher.
And you know, it doesn't even have to be something where you're trying to go back and beat her up.
Right.
But just go back and search for some closure or a couple of answers. Because I think when people speak, they don't always know that they can affect. Sometimes voices always think that they haven't been heard. So I think if you take an opportunity to actually say something to her, you never know. You may bring it some closure to yourself. You may inspire her.
Right.
To understand the weight of her words.
That's interesting.
You never know. Or you could just never call her again.
Yeah. Or she might just tell me to quit this, go to school, and get a normal job. I wish I was making this up, but this is a word-for-word quote that has been etched into my mind ever since. And sadly, I don't think I'm alone. This is the same message we deliver to our youth each and every day, and we all wonder why we're struggling as we grow into adulthood. But the problem doesn't stop there. Even after we escape the education system, society continues to burden our mind with more and more negativity. It seems just about everywhere you look, there's one more way the world's telling us we're not going to make it.
They listen to what the world is telling them they need, which first of all, the world's saying you're not enough. You turn on the TV, you're getting slammed with ads saying, buy this because you're not enough. You're getting told in school, well, if you don't have this degree, you're not enough, you won't get a job. Our parents tell us that if we don't do this, then we won't be enough. So we're getting all these messages from the world that basically say, okay, well, until you're this, you're not enough. But everyone's saying different things, so like, what does enough really mean?
Life is beautiful. Now, if you watch the news, you would not believe that. So what I say is, stop watching the news.
Hey, if you've ever said that you can't get what you want, thank the Rolling Stones. They've been singing that to you since the 1960s.
Now you can't. Now you can't.
And this isn't to blame the Stones or anybody else, but it's to highlight the idea that we are being programmed all the time, unconsciously, by what we're listening to, by what we're watching, by who we talk to. We want to become aware of that and be sure that we protect ourselves. I tell people one of the smartest things to do is turn off the mainstream news. Quit listening to the negative programming. They call it programming for a reason. It's programming you.
We care about what our hair looks like. We are concerned about what we eat. I mean, look at all the different varieties of diets now, all the different choices for how you eat, what kind of car we drive, and people don't pay attention to the thoughts that are going on in their heads.
It seems every day we're inundated with more negativity, which only helps us strengthen the flawed and harmful beliefs we hold about ourselves. If we really want to make a change in the world, and for ourselves, we're going to have to look inward and change those beliefs ourselves.
When does a person have an opportunity to change? The moment they have an awareness of new knowledge about this programming. And I go, what's relevant about that? Knowledge is power. And everybody goes, yeah, I know that. And I go, no, let's turn it around and make it relatively acceptable and understandable to the public. It's the opposite statement that's more powerful. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. We have been deprived of knowledge and actually fed knowledge that is counter to reality. You're a genetic automaton. You can't control your genes. Oh, I have cancer running in my family. Oh my God, the gene is going to give me cancer. That's a belief system. It's totally false. Genes don't cause anything, and yet you bought into it. I say, well, when are you going to get out of it? The moment you have knowledge about how it works is the moment you are free to get out of it. And hopefully through this production and all the other people speaking on this, they will offer then knowledge that will allow you to say, I am ready to make a change. And then you have to do some work.
When I refer to retraining your brain, one of the things that we know from the latest scientific discoveries is that our brain is moldable, it's pliable. There's a phenomenal body of work on neuroplasticity, and that's the brain's ability to shift, to change, to create new connections. Well, at the fundamental aspects of our brain, we are neural patterns. No differently than a software program is a pattern of recognition for a computer to follow, and certain algorithms allow the computer to do certain computations. Our neural patterns in our brains that are made up of our beliefs, our habits, our perceptions, and our paradigms are nothing more than experiences, language patterns, thoughts, ideas that have created a pattern in our brain that becomes an automatic way for us to think and feel and behave.
Well, any dreamer looks at some of the results they're having, they're in love with part of their life. They're just not in love with all of their life. So how do I move myself from this frequency to this frequency? Really easy when you're in your car and you flip the frequency and it's a whole new sound, it's a whole new program. Very easy with your television. Flip the channel, you're off CNN, problem channel, and you're on Discovery or Romance or whatever you choose. In ourselves, it's a bit more work.
Really, when three opponents show up, and specifically outside opponents, this is where you think you're doing the right thing, everything's gonna go great, everything's gonna be amazing, and someone like you just met, you went to coffee with a couple times, they might take a class with you or work with you, a coworker, they show up, you tell them your plan, and they're like, that's ridiculous, that'll never work. And for a moment, the belief is implanted of doubt in your head, and you start to doubt what your plans are. And in that moment, it freaks you out. And that one belief of limitation, that one belief of fear or doubt can radically derail you unless you realize, hey, that's just their opinion. I'm gonna keep my opinion and keep going.
What I really recommend for people is that, if you have a particular goal that you're working towards, for the next 2 or 3 days, either with the Notes app on your phone or like with a little notepad, take a note of all the thoughts, whether they're good or bad, that you have around that subject as you're taking action towards it, and write them all down. Because you'll get to the end of the day and look at these thoughts and go, wow, I had no idea. And so what we'll do once we have those negative thoughts, then you want to think, okay, well, how does a wealthy person think? How does a healthy person think? How does a person in a really healthy, loving relationship think? And change the thoughts that we have. Now, so write out the affirmations of what it is that you do want to think. And then when you sit in a visualization every day, you want to see yourself already acting from that thought paradigm.
So now that we know how to handle that pesky voice in the back of our heads, how do we actually get started on living our dreams? What's the first step we should all be taking?
So one of the biggest myths we have in our current society, right, is the idea of goals. You see, there are two kinds of goals. They are end goals and they are means goals. Most of us confuse the two. What is an end goal? Well, end goals are those things that really bring you happiness. End goals are experiences that you want to have. End goals are contribution to the world. End goals are growth, learning, travel, adventure, making love, living in a beautiful space, raising wonderful children, being happy. The beautiful commonality between all end goals is that they lead to happiness. Now, here's the mistake we made. We often set our goals to means goals versus end goals. Means goals are society's rules on how to get to end goals. The problem is many of those rules have not been updated. So we tell people that you have to work hard so you get a good GPA in high school, then get into a good college, then accumulate massive student debt, then work your butt off so you can have good grades so you can get a good job, then work from 9 to 5, then work crazy long hours, impress the boss, save, slave so you can have more wages so someday you can retire and then attain your end goals. That's rubbish.
One of the most important elements in intention is telling the universe exactly what you want. A lot of people will send out some sort of nebulous intention, like, I want to be rich. They don't necessarily mean I want to be rich, as in I want to have lots of things and I want to have a vast amount of money in the bank. What they mean is, I hate my job and I want to change it. Or I want more free time to be with my children or grandchildren or to pursue my hobbies. Or I just want a big change. And somehow they think more money is going to give them all of that. What the universe will hear is what you say to it. So if you want any of those other things, be specific. That works best.
For me, I think visualization is a very important part of the manifestation process and to get through any challenge. But what's a really important factor that I think a lot of people miss out on when it comes to visualization is the emotional part of it. You know, you need to feel what it's like to already be in that future, because emotion is vibration, it's energy. And this is when we're talking about sending out that resonance. You need to be in that vibrational match to that, in that emotional match. So there's not one particular emotion that you need to feel, but it's whatever you're going to feel while you're there. It's like when we talk about, having wealth goals or money goals, when you're visualizing, you're not necessarily visualizing a pile of cash, because that's not really evoking any emotion, unless maybe if you're rolling around in the cash, that could possibly, invoke some, delightful emotion there. But it's what you do with the money. That's what it represents. So, if I have a certain goal and I want to go on a holiday, well, then I am seeing myself in Egypt, walking through the pyramids, or in Africa, or on safari with the animals, and feeling what it's like to actually already be there. And the more senses you can invoke when it comes to visualization, the more powerful they are.
No dream can come true if you don't dream it. And we all understand that with electricity, the building you want to have light in at your disposal, you have to wire that building to code. And there's a code, meaning the way the infinite side of our nature and the finite side of our nature interact. And so there's a law of specificity. We have to have a dream. In the same way you would go to the bank, you wouldn't just say, give me a good amount of money. You would specifically tell them what you want. You wouldn't tell a builder, build me a house I like. You would tell the builder what kind of a house you like, how big it is, how much room it is, where it's located. People dream fuzzy dreams. And so then they wonder why it just seems so long before they can achieve them. The first step is to have a very clear dream of what you would love in the areas of life where you're going to create results anyway. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we don't get a choice about whether we're going to create results. If we just keep breathing, we're going to have results in 4 areas: health, relationships, vocation, time and money, freedom. And since we're going to create results anyway, create results that you would love. So you start to ask yourself, what would I love? Most people have been trained. When dreaming got trained out of us, we were taught to stop asking, what would I love? And to start asking, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think I can be and do? What does the economy say I can be and do? What does my history say I can be and do? Dreaming sets all that aside, and the question is, what would I love in my health? What would I love in my relationships? What would I love in my vocation, what I'm doing with my time and talent, whether I earn income doing it or not? And what would I love in time and money freedom? If I'm looking at a 12-month calendar, and on that calendar is what I would love and what I'm giving to, and what would that calendar actually look like? And you dream a dream with specificity in those 4 domains, and that's your dream. That's the first step.
A vision without action is actually delusion. And it's not just any action that helps you achieve a goal. If you want to bake and eat a wonderful chocolate cake, it's not enough to have a vision of eating that cake. It's not enough to have a recipe for that cake. You have to take that recipe and you actually have to follow the recipe in the right order. And I've learned from many, many years of making mistakes in every area of my life that when you do the right things in the right order at the right time, you have what I call as a predictable either transformation or predictable results.
Why do you want that goal? Like, I used to be the goal queen, and that's fine to be, reaching for something. But why do you want it? What's that going to bring you? Most people don't want a goal. They want the feeling that goal is going to bring them. So if you want to be successful at your job, if you want to make a lot of money, why? What's that feeling going to bring to you? Okay, well, I want to feel worthy. I want to feel respected. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel all these things. Okay, then I'd say choose to feel that now. Just choose to feel it now. because the world is waiting for you to show up. You know, like if you're miserable now, you're going to be miserable when you get that job. If you're miserable now, you're going to be miserable when you get that perfect relationship or $1 million. You have to choose to be whatever that goal is, whatever that feeling is, choose it now so that when you actually get it, you're the person that you wanted to be, because that's really what we're all after.
The Dalai Lama said, if you want to be happy, make other people happy. So when you ask yourself these 3 questions, what experiences do I want to experience in the world? How do I want to grow? And finally, what is that list of ways I'm going to contribute to the world? Congratulations, you've escaped the means goal trap that most people fall into. You're now thinking outside the box. You're thinking like visionaries, truly happy people, people like the Dalai Lama, like Elon Musk, like Richard Branson think. You're making your list of how you're going to leave a mark on the planet, and you're focused solely on end goals.
The first question you ask is, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want is a very, very important question for everybody. It seems simple, but it's not. You ask the average person, what do you want? You know what you're going to get? I don't know. Well, I wanted that. What I want is on my New Year's resolution list. That's what I want. Okay. And how long have you had the same list? Oh, about 20 years. Okay. Well, obviously there's a problem there. So what do I really want? And the reason that's important is because clarity is critical. Clarity is important because clarity leads to power, and power is the ability to do. If you don't know what you want, how are you supposed to take any action towards it? And the second question that we ask is, why do you want it? Why is this important to you? And the reason that's important is because if there's no big why, Jim Rohn actually said, the bigger the why, the easier the how, which I think is a brilliant statement. And that is, when you have a why that's big enough and important enough to you, the how will start to come. But most people just go right to, okay, how should I do this? But they don't even know if they really want it and why they want it. So one of the things we work on a lot is, why do you want to be rich? Why do you want an abundance of money? What is the reason for it? People go, well, I don't know. Okay, well, guess what? You ain't ever going to be rich. That's the way it works. I'm sorry. You got to have a big enough why pushing you and pulling you and motivating you, etc. And it may not be just be for you. It may be to contribute to others and help other people, etc. Whatever that is. But you got to have that why. The third critical question that we ask, that it seems that nobody else asks, is, okay, if you know what you want, why you want it, and it's probably not new for you, why don't you already have it? And people get very upset when I ask them that question. Why don't you already have it? Because all of a sudden, the accountability goes where? Right on you, okay? And they can start talking about, my wife does this, and my husband does that, and my kids take my time, and all that. And the more they talk, the more they realize it's, let's call it, not true. And so, why don't you already have it? And here's the problem. The same reason or reasons that you don't have it now is probably the exact same reason you will never have it. And the reason is because we're creatures of what? Habit. And so you will keep on thinking and doing the same thing you've always been thinking and doing, therefore you'll keep on getting the same result. So those are the critical steps. What do you want? Why do you want it? Why don't you have it? Then the next one, of course, what's the strategy you're going to use to get it? A new strategy now. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it easy. And then the last piece, number 5, is what specific action, the smallest action you can take in 2 minutes from now.
So we know today about that energy, this, call it whatever you want, is everywhere. It's invisible to our 5 senses, but it doesn't make it not there. In the same way, if I put a piece of paper, take a white piece of paper, put iron filings on that piece of paper, hold a magnet under it, I can't see the magnetic field. But the iron filings move to a pattern that's a reflection of the magnetic field. If I electrically charge that magnet, they move fast. So when you have a dream, you want to be passionate about it. You want to have the electricity of passion, or as Napoleon Hill said, a burning desire. And that sends a signal and makes the magnetic pattern much stronger. And the molecular structure that forms itself into what we call circumstances, situations, conditions, aligns with that magnetic pattern. So we want to have a strong signal of what we would really love with specificity, driven by the question, what would I love?
So I decided to have a normal life, go to school, get married, and then I recreated danger. I ended up having a very abusive relationship. So my big challenge with abundance came when I had to leave that abusive relationship with $54 and 3 small children. and I didn't know what to do, or I didn't know how it was all going to come in, but I followed my passion. And when I did that, the universe just continued to put amazing opportunities right in front of me. And so it was like walking forward. If you've ever seen Indiana Jones walk across, right, and there's no bridge underneath his feet, and he has to do it with faith and belief, it's just like that. So when you're walking into your passion, amazing things can happen. So I went from $54 and 3 kids to within 2 years having a book that became an international bestseller. And it just continued to unfold from there.
In one of my studies, we decided to see whether or not mind can affect plants to grow faster. So I worked with the University of Arizona on this and psychologist Gary Schwartz. And his laboratory would put together 4 sets of seeds, of about 30 seeds each, photograph the seeds, send me all 4 photographs, and I would then ask an audience of wherever I was in the world to send intention to one of the sets of seeds that we would randomly choose. The scientists would not know which seeds we were sending intention to. The first time we ran this was in Sydney, Australia, among an audience of about 700. After I was finished, the scientists would plant all 4 sets of seeds and then measure them 5 days later. And in that example and 5 other cases, the seeds sent intention in every case grew higher. In one case, twice as high as the others. Now, let's unpack this for 1 second. First of all, the audience is not sending intention to the seeds themselves, but only a photographic representation of the seeds. Secondly, the audience was oftentimes, and in the case of Sydney, Australia, thousands and thousands of miles away from those seeds. So what we're really saying here is that these kinds of experiments in mass intention basically undermine everything we think about how the world works.
I then decided to talk with Shawn Achor, author of The Happiness Advantage, to learn a little something about what it takes to be happy right now.
So it's fascinating. So if you ask somebody why they're not happy, they'll tell you something that's going on in their external world, or they'll say it's their genes. They've got a family history of something or neurochemicals. If we were in a high school science class right now, that's what they'd be teaching you. You are your genes and your environment. But when we studied happiness, we actually got a very different picture. What we found was that if I know everything about your external world, how much money you make, where in the world you live, what the weather's like outside, how many degrees you have, if you're married or not, if you have kids or not, all that information combined, short-term happiness is very easy to predict, right? You eat a chocolate bar, you feel happier, 5 minutes later, you're like, why did I do that? But if we're looking at long-term levels of happiness, your happiness, your joy, your meaning over days, weeks, months, and years, if I have all of that external information combined, we can only predict 10% of the variability of happiness amongst people. 90% of long-term happiness wasn't about the external world, it's about how the human brain processed the world you found yourself in, how you process the money you have, how you process the debts you have, how you process the family or the relationships or the news you watch. If you could change the lens to which people viewed the world, you could actually dramatically improve their levels of happiness.
To me, the thing that would help people create the most abundance in their lives is to understand something called your purpose, and putting that purpose out in the world in a actionable way. So bottom line to me, I always think about one thing, and that is solving problems for people. Solving problems for people. Because when you solve problems for people, they pay you. So now all of a sudden you have abundance called wealth abundance. Also, when you solve problems for people, you are of service to them. So you now have that law of karma working for you. You also have the abundance of good feelings that go along with it. So if a real hard element that anybody can do all the time is to actually work and come from a place of solving problems for people. When people ask me all the time, they go, Harv, how do I make money? How do I make a lot more money? I go, well, the first thing is, it's a terrible question, because the only people who actually make money, they work at the mint. The rest of us have to what? We have to earn money. So a better question is, well, how do I earn more money? All right, so let's just talk a little bit about this. So how do you earn money, or how do you earn a lot more money? People don't understand money whatsoever. So first of all, where do you get all your money from? When you ask people that question, they draw a blank. They go, I don't know, God, universe. Oh, well, try again. Again, I've never sat there meditating and had a bunch of money. So where do you get it for cows? You get it from trees? No, where do you get it? The only way you can get any money is from other people. The only other elements on this earth that I know of that use a currency called money is people. So now you get all your money from other people. Well, why would somebody give you their hard-earned money? Why would you give it to somebody? Well, the number one reason someone would give you their money is if you do what? You solve a big or little problem for them. For that, they're going to give you their hard-earned dollars or whatever it is that they use.
Another important factor for achieving your dreams and success is really creating positive habits and rituals every single day, because these habits and rituals that you create will set you up to multiply your abundance. If you don't have habits and rituals, positive habits and rituals, then every day you have to think about, what do I need to do today to create the results I want, as opposed to just having it set in place. So every morning you should have a ritual, a positive habit ritual, to get you in motion, to get your mind clear, to get you thinking abundantly, positively, to get your body right, so your body, your soul, and your mind is working in unison. So whatever that looks like for you, you've got to create that morning ritual.
And one way to shift it, actually there's 3 things that you can do, actually. And 3 ways that you can shift your life. You need to reprogram your conscious mind, reprogram your subconscious mind, and elevate your vibration to a super high level. A super high level that you're at a state that's a state of love, peace, joy, and gratitude. Love, peace, joy, and gratitude. Those are the highest vibration states.
The most radical, quick, simple way to discover your unconscious intentions is to listen to what you complain about. Because whatever you complain about in life is what you have an unconscious intention to be producing more of. So listen carefully to any complaints in your mind and out there in the world, and just realize that every time you complain, you're overlooking an unconscious intention that's really driving the situation. And those unconscious intentions will always get in the way if they're not acknowledged. So that's one big thing about manifestation that we really harp on in our work.
But I know what you're thinking. Having a clear vision and taking action sounds well and good, but we all know it'll never work for me. I'm too old to do that, or I'm too young to get started. Who would take me seriously? I used to suffer from the same ideas, but the truth is, when you look at the facts, success doesn't pay any attention to excuses. In reality, there are examples all around us of unlikely people becoming huge successes.
Where's the proof that I'm too old? Where's the proof that I'm too young? Where's the proof that I don't have the education? Where's the proof? There is no proof. What you do is you go for it because you realize all of those questionings and those doubts are excuses. All of those are keeping you from your dream. And here's something else that it's a secret. Once you actually clear all the self-doubts, all the blocks are gone, and you can accelerate to your dream at warp speed.
We operate with the idea, as we get a little older, we should slow down. That's a lot of jazz. As you get older, you should speed up. What you should do is calm down. If all the energy in the universe is omnipresent, then you don't even have to get it. All you have to learn to do is to release it.
I went on a journey learning about sexuality in terms of what makes a woman attracted to a man. Is it appearance? Because if it's just appearance, I might be screwed over on this one. But fortunately, what I found is it's not appearance. That's a part of the equation, but it's really also about how do you make somebody feel around you. And so that's just one example of an obstacle that I hit where I thought I was dealing with scarcity of, well, there's not going to be many women that would be attracted to a little man in a wheelchair. And that's when I had to shift my focus, reach out for things that enhanced my mindset to get back out there and create an atmosphere that was fun to be around. And then the next thing you know, people were saying, I totally forgot you're even in a wheelchair. And that was by design.
Ever think you're too old? Well, the late great Colonel Sanders founded the finger-licking good Kentucky Fried Chicken at the age of 65 years old, after he had already retired and taken to living off Social Security checks. He went door to door selling his chicken recipe. Legend has it that Mr. Sanders heard 1,009 no's before he heard his first yes. Let me repeat that. He was turned down 1,009 times before his chicken recipe was accepted just once. And yet, by 1967, the Colonel was ranked as the world's second most recognizable celebrity and had well over 600 KFC franchises under his belt. Think you're too young? Well, that didn't stop Mark. At the age of 23, Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, making him the youngest self-made billionaire in the history of the United States. Think you're not smart enough? Well, after just 2 semesters of college, Steve Jobs dropped out of school and went on to found a little company you may have heard of, Apple, revolutionizing the computer, music, and TV industry in just a few short years. A company that is now worth over $800 billion and is on track to become the first company to exceed a market cap of $1 trillion. And yes, you heard that right. He did it all without so much as a college degree. But there's just one last problem. In today's society, where the average person changes his or her career 14 times before they turn 34, how am I supposed to find my place in this crazy world?
It's almost like puzzle pieces. There is this open gap waiting for you, and you are the only one that can fit into that exact mold, so you need to go do it. And yes, there is maybe a path or a journey toward figuring out what exactly that is or what that fit looks like, but you've got to take action. You can't just sit around at your job that you hate and you're like, yeah, this sucks. Okay, when's it going to change? Nothing's going to change unless you do something differently. So you have to at least start that motivation to say, I want to figure out what this is. Because guess what? When you start that, the universe is going to rally, support the heck out of that decision that you made, and help you along that path to figure out what it is. It's going to bring in the people that are necessary to assist you, or it's going to open up doorways that you didn't even know were there before. There's so many things that just kind of happen magically, energetically, that you will get there, but you have to take that first action.
I have found that the masses will stay at something they don't like because they're afraid if they go and do what they do like, they're not going to earn enough money. And you know, working happens to be the worst way to earn money anyway. I was talking to a doctor in Phoenix one day, and he was telling me he was thinking of leaving his profession. I said, why are you leaving? He said, I can't earn enough money. And I said, why did you become a doctor? Well, he said, I love it. Well, I said, then why would you ever leave? If you found something that you can spend your days doing what you love to do, whether you earn any money at it or not is irrelevant. I said, you can earn money 1,000 ways. You can set up multiple sources of income and spend all your day doing what you love. The fact that you're getting paid anything is a plus.
You just have to be willing to follow through. I call it inspired action. Do what you're prompted to do, even if it scares you, because you know it's correct.
Ask yourself the question, what feels good? And now that'll piss off, the 9-to-5 community. Well, who's going to take out the trash? There are people that love having very little responsibility. They love giving back to whatever they're working on, and their bliss is just serving. And so maybe taking out the trash feels like service to them, and to them, that's fine. They enjoy that. But for somebody else, they need to build a multi-billion-dollar company. You got to ask yourself, what makes me feel good? And if I had $1 trillion in my bank account, I would still want to do this interview right now.
We have a saying that goes like this: the problem is never the problem. The problem is that you're thinking about the problem and you're talking about the problem. So the problem isn't that you don't have passion. The problem is that you're talking about that you don't have passion and you're thinking about that you don't have passion. So you have to find a way to shift it just a little bit. And if you can start saying things, it'd be great if you could start saying, I have passion, but you might not be able to do that. So find a way to coax yourself into a better place. How can you talk about it in a different way? I'm starting to get more clear. I'm learning, I'm finding my passions. I'm getting better at discovering my passion. I'm exploring a lot of things and more coming on the horizon. I can feel myself getting more passionate. Even talking about being passionate, I'm starting to feel more passionate. So I'm going to start to think that this is working. If I keep talking like this, I'm going to get more passionate. I like this idea of being more passionate. I'm going to just keep thinking about being more passionate because I want to bring more of that in my life. Well, wow, you start getting on some momentum in that direction, and guess what? You do that for 3 minutes, now you start to feel more passionate. passionate, now you've opened up those creative pathways in your brain. You're not constricting your brain anymore. Boom, stuff starts to come on your radar. That reticular activating system gets to work for you.
So when you're noticing fear, doubt, and worry, if you will simply interrupt that thought and say, all I have to do today is take one baby step in the direction of my dream. And here's the truth. Baby steps will take you all the way up Mount Everest if you just keep taking them.
I always say, know that the purpose is just constantly evolving and living into your highest self. And that's like the first sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, I don't have to find my purpose. No, you're living your purpose. As long as you're a conscious being, you're living it, and just always be in the practice. And then your mission, what would you do for free? What would you love to do every day? How can you serve? What are your values? If you can kind of morph all of that into something, then you've got your mission, and that can manifest in different ways.
Part of what we found was that most people follow a formula for happiness and success that's actually scientifically broken and backwards, that limits both happiness and success. Most people think if I can just work harder right now, I'll be more successful. And as soon as I achieve some goal, well, then I'm going to feel much happier, right? Think how often we do that. As soon as I lose 15 pounds, I'll feel happier. As soon as I get this raise, then I'll feel happier. As soon as I have this amount of money in the bank, then I'll feel happier. As soon as I get married, I'll feel happier. And each one of those moments, happiness is on the opposite side of success. The problem is every time you hit a success, your brain changes the goalpost of what success looks like. So you get good grades in school, don't get excited. You need to get into a better school, right? You go to a good school, don't get excited about that. Now you need a job. You hit your sales target, we raise your sales target for the next quarter. If you have double growth earnings last year, we try and double them again this year, right? So the problem is every time we're more successful, we surround ourselves with more and more people that are successful. So the bar keeps getting raised. So flip around the formula. We found, this is what we've been doing in positive psychology, and this is a discovery we had. What we found is when the human brain is positive, every single business outcome improves dramatically.
Positive thoughts will resonate with things that are positive, but negative thoughts resonate with negative things. It's kind of like the law of return. I send out a negative vibration. The only thing that's going to move out there is something that's in harmony with the negative vibration. I don't want that one. Yeah, but then I say, yeah, but your thoughts are mainly negative. So when you're not paying attention, you're just sending out a constant negative vibration. And I say, yeah, and there's many goblets of opportunities. And I say, which one is going to vibrate with you? The one that's negative. So all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, how come so many negative things come into my life? And I go, how come you keep sending out so many negative things? Because you're the one that's activating it. So we're creating. And we're creating with our vibration. And our mind's vibration is very different between a loving vibration and a negative vibration. They're not in harmony at all. And therefore, negative thoughts only activate negative things, and positive thoughts activate positive things. So you want to change? You have to be very aware of what are you thinking?
Defining your ideal day. And in that process of defining your ideal day, it's taking the time to identify what would your perfect day be. Now, what is this? It's an abstract goal-setting process. It's a way to identify your major values, your major, all the pieces that you feel are most important in life, and somehow create them into a vision that you can then pick apart and create into a very specific action plan. So how does it go? Really simple. If you were to wake up first thing in the morning, what's the first thought that would cross your mind? You know, what's the first sight you would see? How would you feel? Who would be there? Where would you go? What would be possible on that day? You know, what would you want to experience? What are all the activities you want to partake in from like 9 a.m. till noon? What's everything you'd want to do in that day? And how would you feel? You know, how healthy would you be? How abundant would you be? And you got to think through all those little steps. And I always say focus on the majors. So focus on your health, your emotions, your family, your relationship, your professional life. Focus on maybe your finances and spiritual life. But when you focus on those major points of your life, you figure out how to define a day that would be so rich, so fulfilling, so abundant, you wouldn't want to trade anything for it.
And although at times it can seem like we don't have all that much to be grateful for, it can sometimes help to shift our perspective. So let's simplify things. If we shrunk the population of the Earth down from 7 billion people to just 100 people, keeping the same exact ratios and statistics we have today, the Earth would look a little something like this. There are 50 men and 50 women, 61 Asians, 14 Africans, 11 Europeans, and 14 people from the Americas. 15 people would be malnourished, while 14 won't have the ability to read. 37 people would lack access to basic sanitation. 48 people would live on less than $2 a day, while 80 people would live on less than 10. Only 30 people in the whole world would be active internet users. So if you can read and write, have more than $10 to spend today, and have access to a high-speed internet connection, you're luckier than 80% of the entire world. So as it turns out, we might all have a little more to be grateful for than we originally thought. And that might just be a good thing, because as I would come to learn, gratitude can be a pretty powerful idea.
I think it's incredibly important to be grateful for what you have, because if you aren't grateful for what you have, you're not acknowledging what you have. If you're not acknowledging what you have, you're not acknowledging the creative power that you have.
So the more you're grateful, the more you'll find things to be grateful for. The more you'll find people who will be grateful for you. The more you'll be grateful for people. And it's a self-perpetuating, wonderful cycle of love that is so powerful that I think it's one of the, in internet terms, the killer apps for success.
So it's like amazing when you start to realize all the abundance that is around you every single minute of every single day. There's so much abundance everywhere, and when you really tap into that and you get aware of it and you start being grateful for it, you start appreciating it, that's when you start to see more and more of it come.
So when we come back and we go, I am grateful, genuinely grateful for this moment. You now know you live in an abundant universe. You are feeling the abundance of the universe and the great gift of your life that is here. And I'm not even talking about the material things, whether you ate that day or you have a place to sleep or somebody to be with or a car to drive. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the gift of your life itself. When you're grateful for that, it changes you in this moment and you start to realize this moment is the miracle. And this moment influences, like a domino effect, all the next moments to come. And probably even influences all the moments that we're done with, because we look at them differently. But I won't go that way. I won't go in the future and just say all the ones ahead of us are going to be influenced by the gratitude of this moment.
If an individual would sit down every morning and write down 10 things they're grateful for, but let themselves get lost in it, really grateful. We have an exercise that we teach, and that's the first step. Write down 10 things you're grateful for. Then send love to 3 people that are bothering you. The person you don't like, you send them love energy. Then you be quiet for about 5 minutes and ask for direction for the day. If an individual will do that, 10 things you're grateful for, send love to 3 people that are bothering you, and be quiet for 5 minutes and ask for direction for the day. Everything starts to get better automatic.
Sometimes we have days of frustration, and when we're in that lower vibration, we're cutting off the flow of the universe. So if we can celebrate even the smallest of wins, even the little things that went right that day, and be grateful for that, the more we focus on that, the more we attract more of those things. The other thing I like to do is to be grateful for future events that are coming my way. By surrounding a future event or a future goal or a future outcome with gratitude, like it's already done, you're surrounding it with an energy of expectation. And so when you think about it and when you're moving forward to it, it's not like, God, I hope this is going to happen. Please let this happen. It's like you know it's happening and you're expecting things to fall into place for you. And it completely changes the speed at which you can manifest things in your life.
So what we found is if for 21 days in a row, we got people that were potentially genetic pessimists who've been practicing pessimism their whole lives. They're in the middle of a down economy. They're in the middle of a banking crisis sometimes. We were working with some of the bankers in the midst of this. You have people in that state think of 3 new things that they're grateful for every day for 21 days in a row. By the end of the 21 days, they have 63 things that they're grateful for, which is robust, but not the point. The point is, happiness is a pattern for the brain, that you can learn happiness, you can learn optimism, not if we do single shots of changes in our life, but actually creating patterns to our daily experience. And so as they start at each of the work days, think of 3 things they're grateful for, their brain gets stuck. It scans the world not only for the fires they need to put out, but also the things that provide meaning. And because of the happiness advantage, it turns out that their business and educational outcomes improve, their health outcomes actually improve as well. So what we found is for 21 days in a row, getting people to think of 3 new things they're grateful for literally trains the brain to become more optimistic. You can do it with 4-year-old children and 84-year-old men who are grumpy old men. And what's amazing is if you choose to do this simple activity, we can get your levels of optimism and happiness to rise above your genetic set point and to deviate it from your environment, which is so powerful because people think that they can't move from those places. We found other things. We found 15 minutes of fun, mindful cardio activity, a half workout, is the equivalent of taking an antidepressant for the first 6 months, but for the next 2 years has a 30% lower relapse rate. We found that I was doing this experiment at Google where you have them take their hands off of their keyboards for 2 minutes a day, which flips people out. They're going from multitasking to single tasking. We have them just watch their breath go in and out, and then they go right back to their work. Accuracy rates improved by 10%, happiness levels rise, and stress levels drop.
Now that I understood the importance of gratitude, I had to wonder what role the power of giving might play in our abundance. Could there be a connection between what we give to the world and what the world gives back to us? After all, Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give."
One of the best ways to tap into abundance is to start giving. And to give before you're ready to give. And I'm saying this because I had to learn this the hard way. Back when I'm struggling and I'm in poverty, but I'm going to every free lecture I can and I'm reading books from the library and I'm doing my best to work on myself, everybody's talking about giving. Give more and the universe will return. It'll spill over. It'll give you 10 times more. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'll give more when I've got more to give. And I would be stubborn like that until I realized, and again through a lot of the books and my self-exploration of beliefs, that as long as I held back, I was coming from that scarcity mindset.
There's definitely a connection to the amount of giving to the universe and getting in return. And I tell people who ask me about making money that the amount of money you make is directly related to the amount of value you bring to the world.
Napoleon Hill, whose book Think and Grow Rich was probably the first book written about the power of intention, talked about intention being circular, and that it's one thing people always forget. If they're asking to receive, they also need to give, as he said, that there's some sort of universal order here. I think it's really essential, and one of the areas that I've been looking at with intention is the power of giving and healing all the time, because I felt like if we are so powerful, if we are co-creators of our world, and the observer creates that which he observes, then why are we just doing this to accumulate more stuff? Why don't we use this to heal the world and heal ourselves?
Let me tell you something. People talk about it, but if you're not in the flow and times are tough and money's tough, it seems absolutely insane. But I can tell you something. The more I give, the more I receive. And I used to think it was wacky too.
I think you have to trust your heart to guide you in that, so it's truly an offering beyond just any financial contribution, but that there's an energy that's given with it.
You sort of have what I call this upward spiral of awesomeness, where as you give more, you actually receive more. And as you set your sights to receive more and more and more, the only way that you can do that is by giving more and more. And this is how the world gets served and healing is created in a very beautiful, profound way from each person's individual two-sided desire to both give, make an impact, and to receive. And I think that's beautiful.
Throughout this film, I've learned a lot. I've learned where beliefs come from, how we can change them, the importance of having a vision, being grateful for what we have, and just how powerful giving and contribution can be. But there's still one question I don't have an answer to, the question that started this very journey. What's the one thing in our lives, the one idea, the element that directly influences our abundance? What is the abundance factor?
Well, the abundance factor, I don't think there is one factor. If there is one, it's understand yourself. Understand the laws of nature. Understand your relationship with the laws of nature.
It's the magical human ability to open up to what you most deeply want, and then the courage to bring that forth and act on that so that you produce it in the world.
I think if we can move to a place where we are connected in every way with other people, with community, with a higher purpose, with a higher sense, then we will experience abundance in our present moment. Anything else is going to continue on our sense of I win, you lose scarcity.
But it's interaction and creating dynamic relationships, that to me is really true abundance.
So I think if there's one key based upon the research of positive psychology that would be crucial to creating that abundance factor, I would say it's the joy we feel moving towards that potential.
The abundance factor to me is having unwavering belief that anything is possible and the willingness to sacrifice to make it happen.
For me, I believe the abundance factor really stems from being very grounded in knowing that God created me and God is within me and is within every human being. And I use the term God not in a religious way, but in a way that I believe that which created me and everything else is within me. And if God is within me, then God and I are a majority. And so that would be the abundance factor for me.
But there's the spiritual abundance, and I think it's more important because the spiritual abundance actually enables you to have the material abundance. So abundance for me is knowing both of those, focusing on the spiritual, the invisible, if you will, and using it and coming from that to create the material, which is the one most people brag about. So it's both of those things. It's the spiritual and the material. It's two sides of the same coin.
Being happy. Choosing to be happy.
If you feel abundant, you are abundant. That's it.
We must understand that negative thinking actually manifests a negative reality.
If I had to boil it down into one thing, the abundance factor is being the energy and frequency of abundance. Because you'll meet people all around the world of different backgrounds, who are rich, who are poor, who are black, who are white, and they have abundance. They've got that thing, and it's an energetic thing. It's a frequency because they're choosing to be abundance now.
So this made me wonder, how can we use our past to help us reshape our future?
So if I handed you the keys to a time-traveling DeLorean, like Marty McFly in Back to the Future, and you went back in time and you got to visit yourself when you're 20 years old, what advice would you give to 20-year-old Dee?
Lighten up. I would so tell me to lighten up. Remember that life is just a bowl of cherries. It's the journey, right? And go for absolutely everything I want to go for and know I deserve it.
I would just tell her, you're doing fine. Everything is working out just fine. Just have more faith. Everything is working out fine for you.
I would tell myself a few things. I'd probably tell myself who's going to win the Super Bowl a few times. No, but honestly, what I would do, I would go back and tell myself that it's about living in service to others, not just serving myself.
You're going to be really cool, and you're going to help a lot of people, and you're going to work this all out. I don't think I'd have to give her advice. I would just reassure her.
Number one, I tell them I love you. That's the first thing I tell them. Number two, I tell them you are good enough. You are smart enough. And you can do this, and you can figure this out. And I would also say that I forgive you for all the things that you did prior to being 20 years old. All the awful things you did to people for your self-gain, and all the things you did to your body and mind that caused you to feel like you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, and you weren't deserving enough.
It all works out. That hit me too, jeez. Wow. I'd say relax. It all works out. Yeah.
Be yourself, dude. Relax, enjoy the journey, have fun, figure out what your ideal day is and turn that day into reality and realize that everything is gonna happen exactly as it's supposed to.
I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing. I think everything that's happened to us in our life has been absolutely essential to make us who we are, to prepare what we're going to do. If I changed anything, I wouldn't be me, and I like me.
You can't do it wrong. This will speed up the process maybe. This will maybe make it smoother, but you can't do this wrong. Stop freaking out about which path you take. I really do believe they're all going to lead you to where you want to go.
keep doing what you're doing. Keep your purpose uppermost in mind, because you aren't going to believe how well it's all going to work out.
And I'm remembering when I'm 20 years old, I weigh about 300 pounds compared to 180 that I weigh today. I'm wearing big, thick glasses. I'm smoking 2 or 3 packs of Marlboros a day. And I have no idea what I want to do with my life. And I'm killing myself because of that. And so, you know, that, I would say a bunch of things to myself. Try apples instead of Hershey bars and milkshakes. Try cutting down to maybe a pack of cigarettes a day. You know, so there would be very basic things, but it would all be based around take a moment for 10 seconds and love yourself instead of just hating yourself 24 hours a day. Give yourself the gift of a 1/10 of a second of just loving yourself as you are. I think that would have changed my life. I discovered that later, but I wasn't I was probably in my late 20s when I finally figured that out.
Some of the big lessons that I learned. Okay, so number one, Harv. Success is not outside of you. You are the root cause of your success, your mediocrity, or your failure. It's you.
Is let it go.
So I guess in the end, there isn't just one single abundance factor. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of factors that go into making each of us who we are today. But if you ask me, the abundance factor is very simple. The abundance factor is you. Why? Because you matter. Out of 200 billion galaxies existing in 100 billion star systems and 7 billion people here on Earth, you came to exist. You entered this world completely unique, with gifts, ideas, and dreams that are yours alone. You can create art. You can make new scientific discoveries. You can write a novel. You can play music. And most importantly, you can make a difference.
You go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere.
You're supposed to be dancing at this point. Woo! I gotta go! I got a dancing director.
All right, that's perfect.
Very good. Yeah. Yes, let me have a shot out of that.
Butter's got a little bit more color in it than just translucent. Sorry, I'm touching you a lot
That's
more
all right.
than probably expected.
No, that's the real reason I came here.
Hey guys, welcome back. So I am dying to know what you thought. Did you like it? Did you love it? Let me know in those comments below. And as promised, I have a very special gift for everyone who made it here to the very end of the movie. And I'm going to be giving you each a free copy of the Pillars of Creation guided meditation, which is our #1 best-selling meditation system that you can use in the morning or at night to help you manifest your dream reality at lightning speed. And this program, as I said before, normally sells for $47, but today it is yours completely free as my way of saying thank you for watching until the very end. So everyone out there, keep an eye on your inbox, because in a few minutes my team is going to be emailing you a link to download that meditation. But while you're waiting for that, what I want to do is answer the #1 question that I have been asked by millions of fans around the globe, by viewers just like you. And that is, Riley, what is the next step? And that's a very good question, because, hopefully you're feeling inspired, you're feeling motivated, hopefully you're feeling more abundant than ever, but you want to know what the next step is. If you're like most people, you don't just want the overview of abundance, you want the exact roadmap to manifest your dreams. And today, I want to give that to you. You see, with the techniques and tools I learned from 24 experts featured in the Abundance Factor, we've distilled that down and created a simple 90-day program designed to help you achieve total abundance in every area of your life. And we call it Abundance University. In as little as 10 to 15 minutes a day, we'll walk you through 12 of the most powerful abundance factors that you can apply to your life right now to see real and permanent change. You see, each week we'll take you through a new module that tackles one of these important factors. Here's just a sneak peek of what you'll uncover during our 90 transformational days together. In the first module, The Reality Architect, we'll dive deep and help you create a crystal clear vision of your future so you'll know exactly what we're working towards. Because just like Mary said in the movie, you can't build a house without having a blueprint first. So in this module, we're gonna walk you through the step-by-step process of creating an exact abundance blueprint for your dreams. And to do this, we're also going to give you access to our powerful dream building software that will allow you to design something called your Dream 33, which is like a digital vision board on steroids. You are absolutely going to love it. And in week 2, we're going to help you uncover your true purpose in life and unlock something called your soul goal, which is the cross section between your talents, your passions, and your purpose. This is what you were put on this planet to do. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to discover that for yourself. So if you've ever felt like you were meant for something more, but you couldn't quite figure out what that was, then this module is gonna help you to discover that answer. Then in week 3, I'm gonna help you build and design simple yet powerful daily abundance rituals that will help you to fast track your road to success. You see, every major athlete, CEO, and leader in the world has a very specific routine that allows them to succeed with ease. And I'm gonna show you how to design your own personalized ritual so you can set your success on autopilot and make, achieving those goals easier than ever before. And in week number 4, we're gonna deal with your top 3 dream stealers, which are little pieces of your subconscious that are actively trying to hold you back from fulfilling your life's purpose and roadblocking you on your path to abundance. Because just like we learned in the film, these beliefs, they can develop in your mind in between the ages of 2 to 6. And more than likely, they've been sabotaging your success for decades. Maybe you saw your parents fight about money when you were growing up. Maybe you were bullied or picked on, or maybe you went through some trauma. And maybe you went through trauma, but you don't even remember going through it. And the worst part is that these invisible scars, they can hold you back even if you don't know why they're there. Which is why I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to remove those negative beliefs and replace them with new and empowering ones. So you're gonna be able to manifest your dream reality faster than ever before. And that is all just the first 4 weeks of the program. We'll also show you how to manifest incredible wealth with the secrets that we're gonna reveal inside of Module 9, Money Mastery. And I'll also show you a technique called Random Acts of Abundance, which are tiny little acts of kindness that you can do for the world that are going to open you up to the receiving energy that you deserve. This is actually my favorite module of the entire course. And there is so much more. I know you're absolutely going to love it. So if you've been waiting to take the next step and transform your life, then what I'm gonna tell all of you right now is let this program be that push from the universe that you've been waiting for. Because I'm confident with the guidance of this course, based on the work of 24 of some of the greatest abundance masters on earth, you can absolutely change your life. But here's the thing, I don't want you to just take my word for it. So I want you to hear from a real life Abundance University student for yourself. Because every once in a while, what I do is I surprise my students with a one-on-one Skype call. So this is one of those calls. So why don't we check it out and see what they have to say for themselves.
Hey. Hey.
Hi, Miley.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hey. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you? Hi, Riley. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, hard to find just one favorite part because they're all good in different ways.
And it is giving me significant changes in my personality, my life, like everything. Like, it's amazing. I can't say in words, but it is amazing. It is amazing.
You kind of get hooked. You're like, okay, just one more, and then one more, because it only takes 5 or 7 minutes for each time.
Good, I've never done anything like this. So it was kind of nice to have accountability, right? Something to do every week. But those little challenges, I need that. That's my personality. I need someone to kind of push me that way.
You make it so easy to understand. You express yourself in a way that it's very inspiring and make it understandable for everyone.
I think that people don't believe that they can achieve their goals or their dreams. It's something that only children believe. And it's something that we must remember that we have to accomplish, or that we can accomplish. And I really just love your meditation.
Thinking about what you get, and also that you have that we have access to you, ask questions, and, there is help along the way as well.
I've got opportunities around me everywhere now that I didn't have before.
My soul has come back to me. So seriously, I love you.
But after I began, very shortly after, things started to happen in my life. I got 4 different jobs in the commercial and in movies and TV series, and that was also something that came true for me.
I had written in my money category that whatever I invest in, I get my money back. And it wasn't even 3 days later, and I got it back. So I was very impressed.
Just in a short of time, many things just started to happen to me in a positive way. Then you have all this success in life. What's it worth? Can you even put it in money? When it comes to these things, it's an investment. It's not really something you buy and then it goes out of value, it just grows bigger and bigger. So yes, I think I would even pay a little bit more.
How inspiring is that? And the reason that I wanted to show you that is to remind you that you can absolutely change your life. You don't have to wake up tomorrow with the same problems that you have today. You can make that change right now. But remember, if you want to change your life, you have to make a change in your life. And I truly believe that this program can be that change. But you might be wondering, how much does something this powerful cost? And that's a tough question to answer, because how much is it worth to you to change your life? How much is it worth to you to live your dreams? I'm guessing all of that is pretty valuable. But with that being said, we still wanted to make this a fair offer. So we looked at all the other programs published in the marketplace. And what we saw was that it wasn't uncommon to be charged upwards of $500 to $1,000 for something like this. And that's why when we originally launched the Abundance University, we charged $497. But here's the thing. My goal with the Abundance Factor was to be able to help as many people as possible. And my goal with the Abundance University is to do the exact same thing, which is why we've decided to offer everyone watching this presentation right now an incredible discount. But before I reveal what that discount is, I want to reward you for taking action by adding 2 incredible bonuses. The first of those bonuses is something called the Abundance Tribe, which is a private community of dreamers who have either went through Abundance University or are currently enrolling just like you. So you can collaborate with like-minded individuals from around the globe, share ideas, get advice, and grow with your peers. Because once again, just like Mary said in the movie, the power of community can't be overstated. In fact, they say that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So let this be your chance to level up your peer group, join a movement, and be a part of something bigger. And the Abundance Tribe normally sells for $29 a month. But today, during this special, we are going to give it to each and every one of you when you enroll for free. You're going to get a lifetime membership when you choose to enroll in Abundance University. And lastly, I'm going to give you access to the Accelerated Abundance Interview Series, which is our best-selling program of all time. This series features all 24 full-length, uncut interviews from my Abundance Factor journey, where you can watch as I sit down with 24 of the world's smartest abundance masters and personally interview each and every one of them, extracting the precise blueprint that each has followed to achieve financial freedom, happiness, and abundance in all areas of their life. And then I'm going to show you how you can apply those formulas directly to your own life. And the Accelerated Abundance Series is the only program out there right now featuring all of these industry titans and their exact step-by-step success and abundance models in one place. And the best part is I take all of what is said in the interviews and we distill it down into bite-sized chunks of information in the corresponding workbooks and MP3s. So you just listen to the audio MP3s, watch the video, and then follow the steps outlined in the workbook, and you're gonna just watch how your world changes literally overnight. So here's just a taste of what you're gonna uncover in these 24 incredible interviews. T. Harv Eker is gonna reveal the 5-step millionaire mind formula that anyone can use to create success and manifest wealth, as well as the 4 powerful words that will change your life forever and bulletproof you against being broke and unhappy for the rest of your life. And next, Joe Vitale is gonna show you the 3-step process to reprogram your beliefs and open yourself up to the wealth and success that you deserve, as well as the quick and easy shortcut to abundance that will allow you to attract exactly what you want in the fastest time possible. And then tapping into wealth expert Margaret Lynch is gonna show you the 3 invisible factors that form our internal blockages that are keeping you from having the type of life that you desire. And then she's gonna show you exactly how to remove them with a technique called tapping, which can create as much internal change as 4 years of therapy, but in just 8 minutes. And I won't lie, it looks super silly, but once I tried it for myself, I wasn't laughing anymore. This was some seriously powerful stuff. And then Bob Proctor, the legend Bob Proctor, is gonna show you how to tap into the flow of unstoppable abundance by utilizing the law of cause and effect, known as the law of all laws, as well as the connecting factor between all the great holy books, the Bible, the Quran, the Book of Mormon. This common denominator is the ancient secret to success, happiness, and abundance that has really been forgotten by time. And then Sonia Riccati is gonna teach you how to bounce back when life knocks you down. You'll learn the one sentence that Sonia told herself while contemplating suicide that brought her back from the brink of ending it all. And I won't lie, I nearly cried while listening to this story in person. But Sonia's not gonna stop there. She's actually gonna give you her proven 3-step formula to bounce back from even the biggest, most traumatic setbacks in life. So no matter what you're going through right now, this process can help you climb back towards the light. And then you're gonna hear from happiness and relationship experts, Katie and Gay Hendricks. And you're gonna learn how to attract your soulmate like a magnet, and even the one thing that you could be doing that could be accidentally pushing them away, as well as the 3 things you can do in your current relationship that can guide you into a perpetual honeymoon state and reignite the magic. And that is just the smallest taste of what these 24 interviews are going to reveal to you. And you're also going to hear from star of The Secret John Azaraf, world-renowned speaker Sean Stevenson, New York Times best-selling author Lewis Howes, and founder of Mind Valley, Vishen Lakhiani, and so many more. Everyone you saw in The Abundance Factor, you are going to get their full interview included in this program. And this powerful interview series, it normally sells for $197. But as I mentioned before, this is our best-selling program of all time. But today, it's going to be yours free when you enroll in Abundance University. So between our 90-day total transformation school, Abundance University, valued at $497, the Accelerated Abundance Interview Series, which we just talked about, valued at $197, and a 1-year subscription to the Abundance Tribe, valued at $348. Altogether, you're looking at $1,042 of real value that others have happily paid full price for in the past. But as you might recall, my goal is to help as many people watching this right now as possible, which is why we're offering a limited time discount on tuition, which means you can enroll in Abundance University today and receive all of those bonuses that we just talked about for just $397. That is over 70% off the regular investment. And to be totally honest, this is the lowest price we have ever offered for this ever in history. But here's the thing. I realize that $397 may still be out of range for some of you, which is why I want to do something extra special for those of you that are watching this right now. I want to offer you an additional $150 off for those of you who enroll in the next 30 minutes. And this is a $150 off coupon that's going to be applied to your shopping cart at checkout. But once again, this will only last for the next 30 minutes because after a half an hour passes, we reserve the right to put it back up to full price if we see fit. Which means if you choose to invest today, you're going to be paying the lowest price in history at just $247 if you take action and enroll in Abundance University right now. And remember, that includes access to our best-selling program, the Accelerated Abundance Interview Series, as well as a lifetime membership to our powerful community of Dreamers, the Abundance Tribe, which normally sells for $29 a month. And all of that is going to be free. So if this isn't a sign from the universe to take action, I honestly don't know what is, because I know that this program can absolutely change your life. And I'm so confident that it will, I want to put my money where my mouth is by offering you a 100% success and abundance guaranteed or your money back. Here's how it works. I want you to go through the first 2/3 of the course with me, and after you've spent a full 60 days in the program, then I want you to decide if this is worth the investment. And I want you to be 100% honest, because if this program didn't radically change your life, I don't want to keep your money, and I'm going to issue you a full refund, no questions asked. So either you see success and abundance in your life or you don't pay. It's that simple. So with that said, I have one final question for you. Are you ready to take action? Are you ready to manifest your biggest, wildest dreams that you could have never have imagined? Are you ready to step into that new, powerful version of you? Are you ready to change your life? If so, I want you to click the button on this page and enroll in Abundance University right now. Because remember, success is absolutely 100% guaranteed. Either you see success and abundance or you don't pay. So you have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. Because to be honest, there's never been a better time to change your life. You know, so many people, they spend their life waiting, waiting for tomorrow, waiting for next month. Oh, I'll start on Monday. I'll do it next year. But what if tomorrow never comes? What if there isn't a next month? What if there isn't a next year? Take it from me, from somebody who's had experience. Tomorrow isn't always guaranteed, I almost went to sleep and I almost never woke up again. And that isn't just me alone, that could happen to anyone. And if you want to change your life, you have to take action right now. You can't wait for a better time. There's no better time. How many times have you told yourself that? Oh, I'm gonna read that book. I'm gonna go on that vacation. I'm gonna finally, do that dream I've been chasing. But hold on, not right now. There's gonna be a better time. I'm here to tell you that right now is the best time that there's ever been to take action. So if you want to change your life, and if you want to, manifest abundance, if you want to create your dreams and turn that into reality, then this program can help you. And the reason I'm so passionate about it, and the reason that, I'm excited to invite you, is because I know the power that's inside of this course. Because when I went on my journey and I talked to those 24 abundance experts, my life, it changed forever. I get to make a living chasing my passion. I get to travel endlessly, and I get to help other people to do the same thing. And I really want that for you, to be 100% honest. Whatever it is in your life that you're chasing, I want you to get it, and I want to be somebody that's a part of that journey. I want to help you to get there. So if you've been waiting for a sign from the universe, if you've been waiting for that push, if you've been waiting for the right time, this is it. This is it right now. And with that 100% money back guarantee, I truly believe that there is absolutely no risk, or I wouldn't be asking you to enroll. So if you're somebody who wants to take action and you're somebody who wants to change your life, then go ahead and click that button located on this page right now and enroll in Abundance University. And once again, I just want to thank everyone out there, everyone watching this, just for showing up and for watching the Abundance Factor movie with me. It was such a thrill to make that film. To travel the world, see all these exciting places and meet all these new people, and it all makes it worthwhile by sharing it with other people. And so I want to thank you for showing up. Make sure that you get that $47 gift. And above all, I would love to see each and every one of you in Abundance University. So thank you for hanging out, and take care. I hope to see you all in the inside.